Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, taking a look at race number 12 on Arlington Million Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Pucker Up Stakes for 3-year-old fillies going 1 1/8 miles. Let's take a look at the field. It is a big, bulky field, has the potential for being a really strong betting race, especially considering that your morning line favorite and arguably the horse to beat, the number 13 Beyond Blame, drew a lousy post position.
Miserable post, breaking from the far outside. To me, this is, if you're playing a multi-race wager, this is the spread leg. This is where you can try to get a little bit cute, a little bit creative. Beyond Blame, I don't know what your thoughts are, Dan. I know she has the highest last out buyer, and I know she really hasn't done anything wrong in her career. But you combine the outside draw, I don't think she beat anything in the Regret. I'm just kind of against that field as a whole. And the only other time that she faced decent horses in the Edgewood, she got her doors blown off. And I know she didn't have a great sort of trip going into the first turn, but I don't trust her at 3-1.
Florent Giroux gave her such a beautiful ride in the Regret, where he found the inside going into the first turn, was able to skillfully save ground, got out at just the right time. Every move was the right move. He's going to have to be equally as skillful from post 13 at a relatively short price. What Beyond Blame does have in her corner, other than the recent graded stakes win with the 86 buyer speed figure, is trainer Brad Cox, who wins at an inordinately high rate, and we have a positive formulator fact for Brad Cox and Beyond Blame. Over the past 4 years, with 3-year-old last out winning turf routers off a 45 to 60 day layoff, and I promise you it's a good number, 36% winners and a $2.16 return on investment. That's Beyond Blame, who's going to have to work out a trip from a tough outside post position. Let's talk about some of the other logical contenders in this race. The number 3 Pamina, never out of the exacta from 4 lifetime tries. This one, though, had to work really hard in her most recent start. A now winners of one other than optional claimer at Belmont, and that field just hasn't come back strong yet. I know she's got upside.
Yeah, I agree with you about the field. Fairy Link, the 3rd place finisher, is 77, and her next start in the 4th place finisher is 72. The fascinating thing about that N1X to me, on the far turn, I thought she was going to win by 100, because it just looked like she was just cruising. Her ad didn't have to do anything. She was all on her own. And then when he asked her to go, she just kind of grinded away. To me, it was a visually just sort of, bleh. I wasn't impressed, but I wasn't offended by it. She's going to have to improve, but like you said, she's so lightly raced, there's certainly room for a forward move.
It's quite possible that the classiest and most talented horse in this race is the number 4, Cosmic Burst, a Pennsylvania bred for the excellent trainer Donnie Von Hemel. This horse is already a graded stakes winner, but on the dirt. This is going to be her turf debut. Violence, the sire, probably still too early to really judge as a turf stallion. 8% winners from first turf runners. The 3rd dam, though, is a stakes winning turf horse. And this is the female family of turf stakes winners Vignette and Be Elusive. If she can replicate her dirt form, she's probably going to win.
Yeah, and really, that's kind of what this race boils down to. If you don't like the favorite on the far outside, this is sort of the logical alternative. But for the reasons that you brought up, at the end of the day, okay, the family may suggest that turf isn't a problem. At a short price, doing something for the first time, if she can replicate that form from the dirt on the turf, she's certainly a major player. But there's no guarantee. And to be honest with you, to me, she's just the kind of horse, from an individual race standpoint, I don't really have much interest in her, but I would be lying if I said if I'm playing a pick 4 or pick 5, I couldn't leave her off. I'd have to use her.
Down from Canada comes an upwardly mobile filly, the number 6, A.A. Azula's Arch, who made her turf debut in the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen. A tough spot because you had the odds-on Get Stormy in there for Marcassi. A.A. Azula's Arch sat the pocket. It looked like it was going to be a good trip. She was blocked very briefly at the quarter pole. Get Stormy then got away from A.A. Azula's Arch, but she was gritty to finish second. She would not have won with a completely perfect trip, but it was a promising enough turf debut.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason that the big jump up from a buyer standpoint, it's not too alarming because it was her first time on the turf, and maybe that's what she's wanted all along. And you brought it up, Got Stormy. She's a really talented filly. I think she has distance limitations, but you keep her at a mile, she's as good as any 3-year-old that we have in the country on turf. I think this filly is mildly intriguing. But when I look at 6-1 on the morning line, I go, I'm going to need twice that to really be enticed to even consider her.
The number 2, Princess Warrior, is a grade 1 placed filly on the dirt, but I think she might be a little bit better on the turf. She scored last time out against Allowance Company at Ellis Park, overcoming a slow pace. We do have a negative formulator fact to address, but considering that this filly is 30-1 on the morning line, you can take a shot. Kenny McPeak, past 5 years, 3-year-old last out winners on turf, 0 for 28.
Yeah, not a great number there, to be honest with you. I was impressed visually with the effort. I picked her second here in this race. The big thing is she was loaded up in the pocket. Corey Lanery just had to wait for as long as possible. When he got her out into the clear, she kicked home in a big way. Now, that could be a combination of things. The pace was unbelievably slow early on, and you can look and say that's a positive that she overcame that, or you can look at it and say she's supposed to finish in 27.89 because they walked for the first 3/4 of a mile. I kind of look at it and say that was first-time blinkers, getting back to the turf. Maybe this is what she's wanted all along. I think she's interesting at a big price.
I think you can make an argument that the number 10 Secret Message is a little bit dirtied up for Graham Motion. In her turf debut, the Hilltop Stakes, she just caught that boggy going at Pimlico on Preakness weekend, and who knows if she liked it or not. And last time out in that Regret Stakes that Beyond Blame won, she went right up in the air at the start, lost about 2 lengths, and then was in a little bit of traffic in the stretch while rallying mildly to finish 4th. I think with a better start, she gets a better position. She has a shot for a Rat Ortiz.
Yeah, certainly. And like you say, we probably don't know actually how good she is on turf just yet. She hasn't really had that opportunity to showcase it. The only thing that bothers me, and I don't want to say it bothers me, but my just stance for this race is I'm going to fade everyone coming out of the Regret simply because I don't know how good the Regret was as a whole. I know you've had a couple of horses, Go Noni Go, came back and earned an 80, and the 3rd place finisher came back to earn a 79, but my stance is I'm just going to be against all those horses.
Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for the pucker up. We've got the 9, In the Mood, expected to make the lead. She was just a gate-to-wire winner over the synthetic surface at Presque Isle Downs. And if you believe synthetic form successfully translates to turf, maybe In the Mood's the one for you in her turf debut. Never off the board from 5 starts with 3 wins on synth, and her dam is by turf champion Kitten's Joy.
Paired up by her tops of 76 in each of these past 2 races. They were both on synthetic surfaces. I would think you're going to get a forward move. She beat a terrible field most recently, and she did so like a 3-5 shot is supposed to. But at the end of the day, if you don't think this pace materializes and she's forwardly placed, maybe she can get brave out there.
Smart Shot's interesting to me. This is a Calumet Farm Homebreds, won her last 2 races. It looks like she's figured out what the game's about. Handled a mile and an 1/8, 2 starts back. Buyers slowly creeping the right way. Gets a little bit of a class test, stepping up for the first time into stakes competition.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she's in. I think she's interesting. The concern I have, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, those 2 most recent races that it seems like they all came together, they both came at Churchill. Is there any concern that she's a bit of a horse for course?
Too early to tell, I think, after only 7 lifetime starts. Rusty Arnold's having a big year. It's something to keep in mind, but at 15-1, I'd be willing to take a chance that she can take her show on the road. Cabela won 3 in a row for Steve Margolis. There was a trainer change, and she's had a little bit of trouble in both graded stakes starts at Churchill Downs. You've already mentioned you don't want anybody out of the Regret. She finished 7th in the Regret.
Yeah, unfortunately, she just kind of falls into that category as well. And truth be told, she's going to need to up her game and get back to one of those low 80 buyers if she's going to be remotely close.
Like Cosmic Burst, the 5 Diamond Coat's trying turf for the first time. Unlike Cosmic Burst, Diamond Coat's going to be a giant price. This one's by Gemologist, 13% winners with first-time turf runners. Although the dam won 5 times on the turf, she's only foaled 1 turf winner from 6 to try the surface. She can be forwardly placed.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think the goal here is just send out of the gate and try to take this field as far as possible. If she takes to the turf, maybe she can get brave.
Madame Milan for Arnaud Delacour, 3rd off the layoff. This is Barbaro's little sister, and I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I've liked her for quite some time, and I have to be honest, I think she's a little bit dirtied up. 2 starts back, she finally came through in that N1X level after having a couple of miserable trips down at Tampa. And then in that most recent stakes race at Arlington, she was loaded for bear in behind horses, nowhere to go. Finally, when she got a little bit of running room, I like the way that she was finishing at the end. And in a race like this, where you look and see there are so many unknowns, there are a number of horses that are separated by about this much. Give me a price and a horse that I think could be still we still haven't seen her best just yet. She's hinted at it, and if it all comes together in a spot like this, she could pay large dividends.
Reunited with Daniel Centeno, who's been aboard for both lifetime wins, third start of the form cycle, excellent connections. Don't think you get the 20-1 on the morning line, considering this horse's famous pedigree, but boy, Madame Milan, she's got ability and she's going to be a price. I think Deadline's a little bit interesting for Kenny McPeak. That Tawi didn't feature a fast pace at all, and she was closing at the end of it, although, as we've talked about on Out of the Gate, if I wanted a horse out of the Tawi, it was the third place finisher Monte Cristo who did all the work. Deadline's still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life.
Yeah, and she's going to need to pick her fate up just a little bit from a speed figure standpoint, a little bit light with the low 80, but there's no reason to think that you can't get another forward move here.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 3 Pucker Up Stakes. You can go so many different ways. And I knew you were going to go with the 7 Madame Milan. The price is there. She's got the upside. She's got the pedigree. Does the Bernardini on top scare you?
No, you know, because I think it is one of those things. If anyone has watched all of this Filly's starts, you could tell early on that there was some ability there, and she just unfortunately hasn't had luck in some of these races. She has shown up, though, with some decent little finishes and little flashes, so I'm hopeful that the good luck finally shines on her on Saturday afternoon, because I don't think there is any one filly in this field that should be 5-2 or 3-1. I think this is an absolute scramble. I was torn between her and the other McPeak horse, the 30-1 shot, the number 2. I went with Madame Milan. I think there's a real scenario where if she shows up with her best and she gets a little bit of luck, that she might just be better than all these girls and she might be double-digit odds.
I'm stabbing at the 1 Dark Artist, although I will not accept 9-2 on the morning line. I need more than that. She's won her last 3 races against inferior competition. Boy, take a look at the horses in Formulator coming out of that Open Mind Stakes. They haven't returned to do anything, and she had a great trip tracking a 27-1 shot before kicking that horse down in the lane as the odds-on favorite. What I do like about her is she's sharp. She's been fairly consistent from a buyer standpoint in her last 3 races, and I think she's tactical. She can win from on the lead, she can press, she can come from mid-pack, she can adapt for Trevor McCarthy. After that Open Mind Stakes, Jane Sibeli said, time to test the waters against graded stakes competition. And I think this is the right spot, because while it's a good field, there are no superstars.
No, and you brought up the tactical ability. That's really, I think, the key for a filly like this, where she doesn't have to come from way out of it, and she's not a horse that needs the lead. She can sit off of a target, make a move. She's in great form. That's a positive. She really has done nothing wrong on the turf. I'm not going to hold her debut on it against her back in January. I think she's interesting. I think also something to keep in mind going forward. I think the painters are going to be okay on the turf. The only concern, and the thing that got me off her, was what you alluded to. That field that she beat in that Open Mind was absolutely horrific. If she can somehow overcome that piece of it, she's a major, major player.
You mentioned this is a spread race. You mentioned you like 7 and 2. Who else?
12 and 13 were going to be my 3rd and 4th choices in this spot. But again, it really boils down to, if I'm playing any multis, I am going deeper than deep.
I'll go with Dark Artist, who's won her last 3 races since the blinkers were taken off. 1, 13, 6, and 3 for me in the Grade 3 Pucker Up Stakes, race number 12 at Arlington on Million Saturday. Best of luck.